Well, hello there and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Hey, you know what? I was just a couple of days ago, I was getting back from getting my beard trimmed, right? And my barber was like, hey, isn't that WarrenHayes guy? Doesn't he have like a podcast? And I'm like, yeah, I'm that guy. I'm WarrenHayes. He says, knowing that guy has a podcast, I'm going to listen to that guy's podcast quite a bit more. And I'm like, I'm the guy. I'm WarrenHayes. That WarrenHayes, he's cool. So that's what my barber told me. But so, hey, if barbers think it's cool, then you guys know it's cool to be here every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern to partake in the Mr. WarrenHayes show festivities right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, because yes, the Mr. WarrenHayes show is recorded live every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, without fail, well, almost without fail, to the enjoyment of men, women, and children of all shapes and sizes and creeds and walks of life. Because that's what we have here tonight. Joining us here in the chat, we have Robert Larry. Good to see you, Robert. Kelly Tonhes as well. Hello, and happy to see you. Heard Kelly's cousin recently, or just I think it was earlier today. Basically was caught in a tornado that flew by some parts of Alabama, and her cousin is safe, and we were very glad to hear about that, Kelly. That's very good news. Property damage is property damage, but as long as everyone is able to manage to get out of that safe, and your cousin is safe, sound, and healthy, that's really what's most important. But so thank you very much for being here and sharing that with us tonight. Mr. Fretz is here as well. Good to see you, our boy Anakin JMT. Hello, Anakin. Who else we got? We got Trends Day. Sean is here. How you doing, friend? Fifth generation Carney Joseph with it. Hello. Welcome to the chat. Robert Larry. I already said hello, but hey, hi again, Robert. How you doing? Wrestling Plugging. Pluggo is here. Nice to see you. Evan Wright as well. Man, what a big... Oh, and the Wrestling Shit Streak Saver is here, too, who's saving streaks all around, everywhere, up and down. And hey, you know who else is here? Kristen Ashley, the first lady of the Mr. WarrenHayes show. Give us a reality show, is all I'm saying. So thank you, everyone, for joining me this evening, and everyone around hanging around here tonight on the Mr. WarrenHayes show universe. That's what we're gonna. I'm never doing that again. But thank you, everyone, for joining me here tonight. Another Thursday, more wrestling talk. That's what we're going to be talking about. Hey, it's March 25th. The month is almost over, folks. It's almost Easter. Almost time for the Mr. WarrenHayes show to be counter-programmed by Impact Wrestling, who somehow thought it was a good idea to do that. They decided to move to Thursday nights. I have no idea what these bastards are thinking of. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know who thinks it's a good idea to counter-program the juggernaut that is the Mr. WarrenHayes show. But, Jesus. But I want to thank you, everyone, for coming in live or watching on your own accord as well here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. If you like what's going on right now, if you're enjoying what's going on, hey, do consider giving the video a thumbs up. A like here on the video always helps. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, muchas gracias pour les écoutes audio en balado diffusion. I see. From Spanish to French in the blink of an eye, I am a Renaissance man. If you are listening, thank you very much, and show us some love over there on your favorite app as well. A review if you're on Apple Podcasts and that kind of stuff. A follow on Spotify. That stuff is fantastic. Just like you guys are all fantastic. Thank you so much for being here again tonight. Also, remember to visit belltobells.com for all your women's wrestling coverage, your women's wrestling wire, to be very precise. So you go to BELLTOBELLES.com or follow us on Twitter as well. That's also fantastic. Of course, as you know by now, there is a Discord that you can come and join to continue this community, to continue this chat within the Mr. Warren Hayes Show community. I mean, I'm going to have to start calling it that because that's pretty much what we're developing into a fun spot, and it's a good place. If you're nervous about jumping in, don't be. Very kind people. I have fantastic moderators, and not just the moderators, everyone who's there is just awesome, and a lot of familiar faces here from the live chat are there as well. So head on over, the link is in the description. Download Discord, make an account. It's cool stuff. It's a fun time. We'll help you out if you're nervous. We're here for you. Join the Discord. What are you talking about? And look at this here. Now we got to talk about the comment streak real quick. We've been going down this road, going for 10 comments on the next on 10 consecutive videos outside of the slate videos, the pre-shows that I do, because they're not videos that are very conducive to discussion, as opposed to the edited videos that I do, the other live streams, the pre-shows, not the pre-shows, the prediction shows, which are different. I was going for minimum of 10 comments on the next 10 videos, and we are already up to 9. So folks, after this show here is done, when the comments open up on YouTube, come back and open up some discussions. Let's get up to 10 comments, and then we will seal the deal on the first comment streak. And that means that I will be doing a live watch of Goldberg at 54, the documentary that WWE produced. Is it on Peacock? I'm assuming it's on Peacock because it's still available here in Canada, no problem. So I'm assuming it's still there. But hey, it'll be a fun time to watch Goldberg talk about stuff. But hey, I think it's a good reward. I think it's a pretty good reward to start this one off, and then hey, we'll start up another streak. We'll see what kind of rewards we can do after that. But this is really cool because, as I keep mentioning, there's a lot of ways that you can show support for the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, and a lot of you do, and I super appreciate it. But if you don't necessarily have the money, or you're like, man, I'd like to be able to show support for Mr. Warren Hayes in other ways, comments on YouTube videos are so important. It's the stuff that really, really does help. It can be any kind of comment. You could actually start up a discussion or just be like, hey, I had toast this morning. Actually, that's what you should be putting in the comments. Hey, I had toast this morning, and tell me what you put on your toast. Peanut butter or just plain old butter, jelly, avocado, cream cheese, cottage cheese. I don't know. What did you put on? Let me know. And it's not just good for me, it's good for any YouTube individual who creates content on youtube.com. It's really the best way to show support to any of your favorite creators out there. Comments, get in there, interact with and we as creators, we love interacting with people who pop on our channel. So it's all good. It's good for everyone. So there we go. And of course, there's the other ways that you can support. Of course, there's the Patreon, patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes, that you can support. And if you join us there, you get access to the post show where we take calls from patrons, direct live calls from the patrons to discuss current events, current topics. And tonight, we're going to be talking about the WWE's 50 greatest women superstars list that they've been putting out over the past couple of days. We're down to the final 5, which are going to be announced tomorrow, or not necessarily announced, but they're going to do a show. They've been doing that on the WWE network, on Peacock, and so we're up to the last 5 basically. So why don't we talk about all of that tonight on the post show together? Patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes if you want to do that. Of course, you can become a member of this channel as well. You can check that out on the main channel page, and you have access. If you come to the live show, you get access to emojis. That's fantastic. Or you can also leave a super chat, and I will read your question or comment live and on the air, such as Anakin JMT, for instance, as an example. Left a super chat. Yeah. Thank you very much, Anakin. He says, just gotta say, F Target for giving me false hope. What did Target do to you, Anakin? Oh, the PS5, where you were not able to get your PS5, I'm assuming. That sucks. I don't understand how those carts work. Like, you put it in there and you try to check out it. It's the inventory system that isn't perfect, I guess, but man, that blows. I'm sorry. If it's any consolation to you, there are no more targets in Canada. They tried to move in, but they all got the hell out of Dodge. So is that some kind of consolation to you that they're not as big as they think they are? Hope so. Probably the real consolation would be, hey, can I have a PS5 instead? That'd probably be it. Evan Wright left us a super chat as well. Thank you very much, Evan. He says, I'm here for a rant of some kind. I wonder what that one might be. I definitely have one. We'll see how it goes. Thank you very much for being here, Evan. Thank you for the super chat. Another super chat from Anakin JMT. Thank you very much, Anakin. He says, everyone is counter-programming the Mr. Warren Hayes show. Triple H, Impact, and even Throwback is thinking of doing a Mania preview on the Thursday before. Hey, listen. Throwback is cool. That's fine. But Impact, they've got some grapefruits on them. At least, Triple H, I'm like, you, Paul Levesque, you. I'm like, at least Paul... It's a one-shot deal, and then he's going back into his hidey hole. But Impact, Scott D'Amore. So much for Canadian solidarity. Another super chat from Anakin. Thank you very much. And he says, avocado and cottage cheese can make like the F and WWF and get the F out. Need to open yourself up a little more here. You have to open yourself up a little more here, Anakin. Yeah. It's not half as bad as what you're saying right now. Jesus. Anthony Suter is here. How you doing, Anthony? And left us a super chat. Thank you very much. He says Warren is the best personality in wrestling podcasting, point blank period. Thank you very much for the super chat, Anthony. I appreciate it a great deal, buddy, pal, from Smart to Death and shooting the sports-ish. You need to follow Anthony and all his stuff because he's a cool guy. He's always been a cool guy. Thank you very much. And hey, Throwback is here. Dropped us a super chat. Thank you very much, Throwback. It says, you rang? It's good to see you. And we've got a bunch of people who popped in as well. Swiss Roll Chris is here as well. Good to see you. We've also got DGMC who's in the chat. Look at that. And Flowman is here too. Crowd's all here. I hope I'm not missing anyone. I hope no one's slipping through the cracks. Hey, Carlos is here. How you doing, Carlos? All right, let's get to it. We got some stuff to talk about this week. Let's kick it off with the weekly wrestling inspection, shall we? Let's get going, and we're going to talk about, let's start talking about WWE Fastlane that happened earlier this week, of course. There we go. It happened earlier this week. It happened on Sunday. I am going to give it a big ol' warm soda. I don't think it was a bad show. I don't think it was a great show. I think it was a show that was carried by a couple of really fun things, but otherwise it just felt like a big ol' smackdown to me. Or yeah, cause Raw's not as good. Just a few thoughts. Let's roll through these. On the pre-show, United States champion Matt Riddle defeated Mustafa Ali to retain, of course, the WWE United States Championship. This was a pretty good match. Another strong opening pre-show match. And then they absolutely teased the breakup of Retribution with all the members of not all the members, but Mia Yim. Look, all the members of Retribution were in the ring, and Mustafa Ali was all abusing them verbally, saying, you guys suck, and where were you, and whatever. Mia Yim, she's got enough, she hits the bricks. Slapjack's got enough. He hits the bricks. And then Tabar and Mace, well, they decided to powerbomb, double team powerbomb or slam. Not exactly a powerbomb. Look, they hurt Mustafa Ali. And then they left. What stinks is that we got no follow-up to this on Monday. And this is what boggles me, and what I find absolutely fascinating is that we, like, in one of the rarest occasions where we were like, man, I'm excited to see what happens next with Retribution. They don't do anything on Monday. It's just like nothing at all. So we don't know exactly what's going on. We'll probably have to wait a little bit. I think Mustafa Ali deserves a WrestleMania, all the WrestleMania greatness for having put up with that stable for months now. But there you go. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defeated Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks to retain the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. Look, the whole Reginald thing is so unnecessary. And look, it's the same thing as James Ellsworth. Yeah. It really, really is. It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing that happened to James Ellsworth years ago. Well, not the same thing that happened because, you know, James Ellsworth and he had some other stuff happen. That's but it's the exact same situation where he's in this angle with the women. He's the only guy and he gets shoved around, pushed around. Look, and I don't think it's all that entertaining. I don't think Reginald is all that charismatic or entertaining either. I don't think he's very dry, but then they paired him with another dry individual, which is Nia Jax, and I guess to a certain degree they really go well together. But it doesn't work. And the whole idea of Reginald being intertwined in Sasha and Bianca's WrestleMania match, or the build anyway, someone on Twitter told me this week, and I was like, he's absolutely right. Bianca and Sasha is a prize fight. You don't need the shenanigans. It's a prize fight that you have on your hands. You don't need to overcomplicate this. Have them come out week after week and have them do wrestling things. Have them squash people. Maybe have a little friendly or not so friendly tense competition, you know, on that front. Cut some promos on each other. It's extraneous, and it's like Sasha losing focus because I am not sure what Reginald's thoughts are about me. It's like weird. I know she didn't do that. That was me. I wanted to do that. I like doing that. You know, it's something that I'm thinking of angling myself a little more into, you know, because, you know, at some point, you know, maybe someday, you know, the wrestling bubble sort of bursts and, you know, I have to do something else. Well, I could become a cam girl. I think that could work. Anyway, this match was very, very bog standard for WWE. Then we had Big E defeating Apollo Crews in a singles match for the Intercontinental Championship. This was shit. I hated the ending. It was too short. This is a prime example. In fact, these two matches are prime examples of when I say this is a Friday night match. This is something that should happen on a SmackDown. You know, with the weird finish, the rolling out of pinfalls, and I mean, I don't understand. And people were like, "Oh no, this is fine," but I'm like, "No, this is not fine. It's not fine." I think I like to complain about how WWE sometimes I feel like they've lost the capacity to book a pay-per-view, you know, and make it really exciting and build big matches because they no longer have to sell the pay-per-view since they already have our money. But I also feel sometimes I think that some fans have forgotten or never really realized what a pay-per-view is supposed to be about, how big it is supposed to be. You're supposed to tune in to a pay-per-view for big developments, for big matches, finishes, clear-cut directions, either coming to the end of an angle or setting on to a new course. But fuck finishes on wrestling TV on Fridays, Mondays, Wednesdays. That's okay. But on a pay-per-view, they're always harder to stomach. Because you're actually because WWE is basically telling you, hey, this card that we've put together, it's going to be special. And there's going to be special things happening here. There's going to be big events. This is not a big event. This is something that you see every day. It's not something that belonged on a pay-per-view. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Braun Strowman defeated Elias. What a crock of shit all of this is. And for a minute, I thought that Shane McMahon was legitimately injured, but he's not. So this was also part of the plan, to sort of swerve us into this and then save the thing for WrestleMania. And I am going to say this again. I'm going to continue down this road. I don't think Shane McMahon is all that entertaining. I don't think he's that great of a mic worker. And if you are excited to see Shane McMahon throw himself off of something, let me tell you, there are tons of people on that roster who are perfectly capable and have the balls of throwing themselves off of stuff and will also give you an entertaining evening of sports entertainment. I don't think Shane is... I think there was a time where Shane McMahon had that aura about him. I don't think this is it anymore. And Braun Strowman, you know what my mission is? And if anyone wants to give me a hand here, and I'm offering it up as a volunteer because it's something I really want to track down. I want to track down how many face heel turns Braun Strowman has had since his debut. And I mean his debut as a wrestler, not as part of the conga line, as part of the Wyatt family. Because he's getting into legendary big show situations. Because it just dawned on me this week when on Raw, when they had him do the train sounds. And come on. The train sounds as he's doing his shoulder blocks around the ring. Come on, guys. There's only so much that we can take, right, before we outright can all agree that this is cringe. It's not good. It's not value added to the product. It's dumb. But my point that I'm trying to make, if anyone wants to help me like pinpoint the amount of times that Braun has turned, I think it's important because right up that's what I was getting at. I lost my train of thought because thinking about train of thought. Thank you. The puns come automatically. I realized that in this feud with Shane, Braun is the babyface. But it seems to me like 4 weeks ago he was the heel. Right? Wasn't he a heel like 4 weeks ago? I don't know. Six turns? It has to be more than that. It doesn't feel... only a half dozen, it feels insufficient. But let's pull out some research. Come and join us on the MrWarrenHayes Discord. Anyway, this was shit. Since Seth Rollins defeated Shinsuke Nakamura, this was fine. Nothing wrong with it. I don't think there was anything great about it. Again, just a perfectly okay SmackDown match. Nothing wrong with it, but I'm like, it's missing the pay-per-view pizzazz here. Drew McIntyre defeated Sheamus in a no-holds-barred match. I thought this was well done. A very, very physical, very brutal arena match. They were going everywhere, beating the hell out of each other. It was brutal. This was good. What else can you say? It was fine. it was hard to get emotionally invested in for reasons I spoke about last week. And I think watching it, because I tried to, separate myself from, the build and the fact that Sheamus was on a kind of a losing streak. And I was like, well, I'll just enjoy this. But I couldn't help but remember that Drew McIntyre is heading to WrestleMania, and this kind of telegraphed the ending. And I was like, well, okay, there was no drama to the ending. Because I was like, I know the outcome of this. It's either going to be one of two things. This Sheamus is going to lose, or Sheamus is going to win because Bobby Lashley is going to interfere. And it just turns out that Sheamus flat out lost. Now, they're setting him up to fight Matt Riddle for the U.S. title. And I really, really hope Sheamus wins at WrestleMania, because Sheamus has had a fantastic end of 2020, and he's doing the Lord's work in Q1, being a good soldier, letting his heat get smothered all over the place. He's doing great. I really hope that he ends up with the title when WrestleMania comes around. Alexa Bliss defeated Randy Orton, and a crispy, I was going to say Krispy Kreme, but then that's actually kind of gross. A crispy fiend emerged from under the ring. Of course, we were expecting this. Rumor was going around that they were going to repackage the Fiend, which they did, to their credit. My boy Alex Pulowski put out on Twitter that he was impressed that they repackaged him, and since he was burned alive, have him come out and be all disfigured and burnt and charred, and this is good storytelling. And I'm like, Alex, your standards are so low when it comes to WWE. We're congratulating, we're giving them pats on the back for just like basic logic for stuff that you're like, yeah, this should be happening, as opposed to, ooh, this is interesting. It's like, yeah, this is what it should be. And we're patting him on the back and saying, good job, WWE. I'm like, And we've lost our way with the Fiend stuff. And you guys know I'm on the record. I love the Fiend. I thought it was a great idea. I thought, execution-wise, definitely was not perfect, but hell, I enjoyed it so much. I did a deep dive of the Firefly Funhouse match last year. That's something that I did. But all of this here with the goop and the fire and the thing is, and by the way, I don't really care about the Fiend's new costume. I think the mask is pretty cool. I think the burnt shield outfit, shield uniform, the shield, I think it looks kind of terrible. We saw pictures of the costume in full light, and it doesn't look good. And coming back to the goo and all of that, it's like, WWE sees like the horror things, the disgusting things. They're seeing, people coughing up mucus, black mucus, and setting on fire, and reflections speaking to each other. And they see the tropes, they see the imagery, and they try to patchwork everything together without actually understanding why, in a context of a horror movie, these things actually work, or why they're significant. Here it's just like, Randy Orton's coughing up more goo. Let's have him cough up goo. It's weird. It'll scare people. But it'll be scary if it's in the context to be scary. It's not quite, just because it's in a horror movie doesn't make it scary outside of it. Anyway, I'll say it again. If the payoff here is to have a Firefly Funhouse match like last year's at WrestleMania, but with Randy Orton, I think that it's going to be worth it, because Randy has all that meta stuff around his career, just like John Cena does, that will make it entertaining. Jonathan Reyes, welcome to the chat. just here on time to hear me talk about Roman Reigns defeating Daniel Bryan to retain the WWE Universal Championship. This, however, this ruled. This was a very good match. Daniel Bryan is still an excellent professional wrestler. He is still someone who wrestles uniquely. He wrestles like no one else, and no one else wrestles like Daniel Bryan. And it's so good to see when they're just like, let it go. Do your stuff, Bryan. Because he was great. He really was great. And so was Roman. Roman was very good too. They had together a very good, very, very good match. Hell, you had Roman Reigns doing Boston crabs, half crabs in this match. But the ending was just too much. The ending that was just too much. There's the ref bump. Then Edge. Edge is the special and guest ringside enforcer, which I never knew. I still don't understand what a ringside enforcer is outside of being a guy who will jump into the ring if the ref takes a bump. Edge comes in to count a pinfall. Daniel Bryan kicks out. Then he being Edge and Roman Reigns, they exchange words. Bryan gets Reigns into a triangle. Then he slaps on the yes lock on Roman. And then Jey Uso, the Dick Togo of WWE, comes in. And he super kicks everyone except Roman, of course. He runs Edge into the post, and then Daniel Bryan has a chair. He uses it on Jey Uso, then tries to go for Roman Reigns, and then it's an accident, and then he accidentally nails Edge with it. Then Roman tries to go for a spear, but then he gets caught in the yes lock, and Roman taps, and I think he tapped, but he taps, like he goes like this, and I'm like, oh shit, okay. I mean, it's good story, right? But Edge being, a veteran of the ring, or I should say, despite being a veteran of the ring, still does not understand that accidents happen, gets mad at Daniel Bryan and decides to beat the shit out of him. And then of course he beats up Roman. And then as he leaves, then another referee comes, because I guess since the enforcer leaves and there's no more anyone in the ring, well, then the ref comes out. But the ref had to have seen everything that happened. So if he's coming out to officiate, at the very least, the referee comes out and says, we got to throw this match. Look at all this bullshit. But no, the referee counts the pin when Roman drags himself on top of Daniel Bryan. I mean, the ending was so unnecessarily convoluted for the quality of the match that we got. And it could have been much more simpler and could have had the exact same impact. Now, there's two shining stars to come out of this, if you ask me, of course. And you're asking me because you're watching my show, and maybe you're asking directly to your computer. It's like, but Warren, what are these two shining stars? And for that, I appreciate your enthusiasm in getting immersed into my podcast, but also I can't really hear you. Because maybe I'm alone here. So I can't really hear. But I appreciate you getting involved. The two shining points here is that we're likely moving towards a triple threat match at WrestleMania, where we're going to get more Daniel Bryan in a big time match at WrestleMania, and that I can get excited about. The other shining star is that Daniel Bryan, to me, is being positioned as a much bigger babyface than Edge is, and that just proves to me that Daniel Bryan still has it. People are still into him. They still know how to book him, and he knows how to make the most out of the opportunities that WWE puts into his hands. Because right now, I kind of feel Edge ain't there. It's not, it ain't clicking. And I think it's a very, 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 very safe move to have Daniel Bryan be thrown into the mix because I don't think Edge is having necessarily the returns that WWE wanted. I kind of feel, and I've seen the comparisons being thrown out there, and I'm going to slide into them because I'm going to jump on this gravy train here. I kind of feel like Edge is the new Batista in this situation here. And again, another Daniel Bryan situation where Daniel Bryan comes in, steals the spotlight from the chosen one, and that's the one that people want to rally behind. That's all I'm saying. We'll see how things go. But this was a very good match. If you can separate yourself from the ending, you are going to enjoy this match. I want to say hello to Kiwi Rob. Welcome to the chat, sir. Let's talk about the New Japan Cup Finals. Hey, my brackets turned out pretty good. I had predicted that Will Ospreay was going to win. He did. I also said that Shingo was going to be on the other side, that it was going to be Shingo and Ospreay, and that's what we got. My brackets for the 2021 New Japan Cup, not bad. Wasn't busted too much. Of course, everyone's bracket got busted because of Dave Finlay this year, and good on him. And I think Yano a bit too. I don't think anyone really saw Yano going forward after through the Great Okan, but he did. And we had that great match with Evil. But I want to talk about the finals of the New Japan Cup, where Will Ospreay defeated Shingo Takagi to become the 2021 New Japan Cup winner. And it's wild because these are two former junior heavyweights, two guys who've met in the Best of Super Juniors tournament, both having graduated to the heavyweight division, and it's just great. And Ospreay out the gate, acting like he's still a junior, just flying around. He's just going all over the place. And Shingo, he's like, yeah, well, I'm a big, strong man. I still love, and it's such a simple spot. But Ospreay early on goes for the Os Cutter, and he grabs Shingo, drags him down, but Shingo just sort of he puts on the brakes and he just lifts himself back up to avoid getting hit. That was fantastic. There was an insane backdrop on the guardrail that Shingo took back first. He just bent like this. Like the human body shouldn't bend the way it did. A lot of bad back rail. Guardrails were not wrestlers' friends over the past week or so. There was an Os Cutter off a springboard from the turnbuckle to the floor, which was great. And of course, the spot of the match, the 450 from the top turnbuckle through a table on the floor by Ospreay, which was fantastic. Shingo hit a poison Rana. And it's a hidden blade into a Stormbreaker, and that was that. Congratulations to Will Ospreay. Shingo Takagi, though, right now, I don't think there is and we talked about it last week, but I'm talking about it again. I don't think there's a better wrestler right now in the world. I don't think there's no one who is competing on high-level matches at such peak performance every time. Shingo has been doling out top-rated matches since the beginning of the year every time he is in a singles match without fail. His New Japan Cup had him go through former New Japan Cup winners throughout his bracket. He was able to get a good match out of Evil, for fuck's sake. So I still think Shingo is, look, if anything, Shingo Takagi is the wrestler of the first quarter of 2021. I think that's something. But holy shit, he has been so consistently fantastic. Rick Poling, good to see you. Welcome to the chat, friend. But if I'm talking about the New Japan Cup Finals, I have to talk about that angle, right? Where Kota Ibushi comes to the ring with the World Heavyweight Championship, and confronts his new number one contender, and Ospreay starts cutting a promo, and basically Will Ospreay says, I am ready to do anything to get those belts. I will do anything necessary. There is nothing in this world that I love more than those belts. And he turns and looks at B. Priestley, who was a part of the United Empire, his stable, and also his girlfriend. And he turns to her and says, nothing I love more, something like that. And he gives her an Os cutter out of nowhere. Yeah, so here we go. Controversial angle time. We got to get this out of the way first and foremost. Whatever your feelings are about this was a poorly executed angle, okay? Before we get into the specifics and the implications, if you just take it for what it's worth, it is not a good angle. It wasn't good. It's not, I don't understand what it adds to the feud. I don't understand what it adds to Will Ospreay's character. It doesn't make me want, it doesn't add any heat to the match itself. But the optics here, because the problem is that we have optics that we have to consider, because we are intelligent human beings who aren't just sitting around waiting for stuff to be shoveled down our throats. We want to think about stuff. We want to, we expect certain things from the entertainment that we enjoy, and we kind of like to hold them to a certain standard. Now, Will Ospreay, here's something else we have to clear out of the way, right? Generally associated with the speaking out movement, right? We all know this. Essentially because he defended professional wrestler and friend of his, Scott Wainwright, who was accused by Pollyanna, female UK wrestler. She accused Wainwright of sexually assaulting her. And apparently because of this, Pollyanna, and I'm just doing some background here. You can check all of this out on the internet. It's very easy to find. Pollyanna was allegedly blackballed from wrestling in the UK. This was purported via a statement from the IWL, the International Wrestling League, that basically accused Will Ospreay of blacklisting her from performing. But IWL, they did these statements during the Speaking Out movement, which was in June last year. But then we come around to September, and IWL retracts their statement, and people were quite cross about it, and necessarily because that put an intense amount of heat on Will Ospreay. And IWL basically said, "Hey, you know what? Turns out it was the venue that put the brakes on it, not Will Ospreay. Sorry, we fucked up." But it didn't quite go all that way. Now, I want to clarify something. I'm definitely not sticking up for Will Ospreay, and I'm not sticking up for Scott Wainwright. The accusations are still there. And Will Ospreay still went out and defended Wainwright out on Twitter. And Will Ospreay, he has a bit of a history of misogynistic behavior towards women. You just have to think about the Sadie Gibbs thing on Twitter as well, where she basically was taking some time off from Stardom because she had to be with an alien family member, and Will Ospreay went after her. So you're not putting in the work, these opportunities you get, blah, 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 you're lazy, whatever. Will Ospreay is effectively an asshole based on the behavior that we can observe of him. Not necessarily a cool guy towards women. So if you decide to go into this type of angle where Will Ospreay is already problematic in the eyes of multiple fans in regards to women specifically, I don't think this was exactly the best way to go about it. And there's only a certain amount of targeting that you can do towards Will Ospreay here, because this is a New Japan Pro Wrestling problem. The optics that we're talking about right now are clear to us when we talk about it and we point at them, and they should be clear to New Japan, right? They should, is what I'm saying. That's the operative word. If anyone had thought about this and thought about Will and his reputation, they probably should have pulled back and be like, yeah, you know, maybe we should not do this exactly. Because again, I ask the question, even if it's like, well, you know, we should, even if it's like we should put Will into this position, you know, because he was ready to do anything at all to win the title, even, you know, screw over his girlfriend. It's like, there's still other ways to do this than something so very blatant. I saw a lot of people saying, well, Will could have said no. And fair. I know, though, that New Japan and all Japanese promotions function in a certain different way than they do here. Everything is very the hierarchy is very, very strong, and you're never really in a position to say no if the booker comes and tells you you should be doing this. So essentially, right, Will Ospreay is an actor, gets handed a script and says, go tell your lines, man, or you're fired from the production. I'm exaggerating, but that, you know, that's still, it's like, I'm paying you to go read your lines, be this character, and then come back. That's what you're supposed to do. Will Ospreay knows how it works in Japan. He could have put up a fuss. Maybe he's just ready to deal with it. I don't know. But you don't have a tendency to refuse what the booker is bringing forward. You know, there's not that much creative control. There's a guy at the helm, and he knows what's best, I guess, to a certain degree. So there's certain things that Will Ospreay just doesn't have. He doesn't have control of in this situation. My point being that this is a New Japan decision to run with this angle. You know, there's also been the thing where it's like, well, if you're pro intergender wrestling, you should be pro this. I'm like, sure, but again, let's not lose sight of the optics. The context here is a little more complicated than just like, well, she's a wrestler. She doesn't wrestle in New Japan. Wrestles in Stardom, sure. They've had intergender matches together. Sure, but they've had matches. This is him coming out of nowhere and kind of assaulting her. Again, all a question of optics in the larger context of Will Ospreay. I'm not saying that it should never ever be done, but this was not a good way to do it, and especially in this context here. And this is very different than, let's say, Alley Cat and Nick Gage in a death match, where everyone is a competitor. Everyone's coming in and being like, okay, let's beat the shit out of each other. Let's have each other bleed, you know? There's not going to be a payoff here. So even let's say let's say in an intergender match, in a build-up, you know, the guy blindsides his female opponent and beats her down in the build-up to the match. Well, they're still competitors, and there's still going to be a payoff. There is still going to be a match, but there's not going to be a payoff here. There's not going to be anything. They being New Japan saw Priestley as a utility, a valet, as something was like, let's just get her out of here. You know, it doesn't click, and it's weird because this is a company that a couple of years ago suspended Taka Michinoku from the company for cheating on his wife. It's so strange. It's such a this separation. It's so bizarre. And even on a corporate level, I think it doesn't make sense either. Because B has been coming with her Stardom title. She's been coming to the ring with it. And one would have assumed or thought that this is some kind of Bushido Road synergy. You know, hey, Bea Priestley of the United Empire. You know, she's the champion. She's a champion in Stardom. And oh, by the way, on the same day as Sakura Genesis at the Yokohama, there's at the Yokohama stadium. There's going to be, or arena, whatever. There's going to be an event. There's going to be a Stardom show a little earlier in the day. So why don't you go check out that? You know, this lady here, she's going to be wrestling over here on our. Why don't you go check that out? Like, there's not even any synergy there. It's weird. Now, the guys at Voices of Wrestling, I'm not going to try and co-opt this opinion or this thought for my own. They posited this on their podcast. I was like, this makes a lot of sense to me. It makes a lot of sense. Unfortunate sense, but still sense. And they brought up a good point. And they say, look, New Japan wants in on television on the United States, right? Networks probably are looking for a wrestling product that will remind them of what WWE does, what AEW does. If New Japan comes in with its purely sports-centric stuff, maybe they'll be a little turned off. And maybe this is why New Japan is trying to do pulling off some angles and some wacky shit, you know, like the Bullet Club stuff. Again, they've been doing this for a while, but, you know, the Dick Togo stuff is really annoying. The King of Pro Wrestling gimmick matches. Then you end up with angles like this. It's so unlike New Japan to a certain degree. So to us, on a certain level, it's kind of worrisome if this is maybe a sign of things to come, of what is maybe some of the turns that New Japan are trying to make in an effort to get on television. And to sort of wrap this up, you know, Emily Pratt over on Fanbyte, she brought up something in her recap of the New Japan Cup, which again is very, very fascinating. And I think I'll just go ahead and read it verbatim, which is what he wrote. Because this is the kind of stuff that will make you think, and it sort of connects to what the Voices of Wrestling guys are saying. The New Japan Pro Wrestling stories that have spread outside of the fandom bubble, meaning to the larger Western wrestling fan bubble, have been Jay White to WWE, Jon Moxley versus Kenta and the Forbidden Door, rest in peace to the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, working with Marty Scurll, and now a Will Ospreay domestic violence angle. And only one of these things has been unequivocally positive. She's not wrong. She's not wrong at all. It really makes you wonder. And I think New Japan is highly dropping the ball. Intensely dropping the ball on this one here. And I am not impressed with what they're doing. I really am not. It's getting worse. I don't know, man. Maybe this, you know, fingers crossed. But we'll see. We'll see what kind. Let's talk again in a year and see what kind of shape New Japan is still in. Just see. Want to say a big thank you to Joe Poulin Jr., who became a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes show. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed them emojis, man. All right, let's move on. Start talking about Monday Night Raw. My God, ladies and gentlemen, Monday Night Raw started with a match. It started with a match. And so did SmackDown. Friday, Monday, not 10 minutes of exposition or wacky antics or Randy Orton talking to himself in a television set. No! A match. Guys coming to the ring ready to fight. Bobby Lashley and Sheamus, and I'm like, and I was so happy I tweeted it out. And I will never ever shit on a wrestling company, on a wrestling show starting off with a match. Ever. Even if this match wasn't the greatest. And even if it's something we saw just a couple of weeks ago. And if on top of that, it just continued, that weird Sheamus losing streak. I don't know why they booked this. Sheamus loses the night before. And I know it was a non-title match. But why is he fighting the world champion the next day? So, it was a fine match, don't get me wrong. But, we have to underscore here. And big round of applause for WWE for starting off Monday Night Raw with a match. My God. Is this the turnaround I've been expecting? But I have noticed that the structure of Raw has switched a little bit. There's a lot more action in the first hour to hour 15 minutes. Then we start to get into the smaller, more talky angles in the middle, and then it starts to pick up towards the end in the final hour. So, again, I still think Raw, a 3-hour wrestling program, at least the way WWE puts it on, is too much. But for now, look, let's just focus on the good things. It was fantastic. And it also helped set up the whole thing with the Hurt Business. But here we go. We're gonna talk about the Hurt Business thing here. The Hurt Business, Britt. So the Hurt Business is trying to help Bobby Lashley because they're a heel faction, right? But Bobby Lashley is like, hey, stop it. Shelton, no. Cedric, stop. That's how I don't know when he gets angry. Stop. That's what he says. No. Have you ever noticed? This is my new Bobby Lashley impersonation. Like, Shelton, no. Cedric, stop. I don't understand why they want to break up the Hurt Business. We haven't had a proper moment of dominance from all these guys. We didn't have MVP doing a proper victory lap, grabbing the microphone and saying, I brought these guys together. I made these, because he did. His mic skills made the whole Hurt Business thing interesting and compelling. And they were, even when they were booked like morons, it was still good because of him and because of the energy that was behind those four guys. Why couldn't this have lasted longer? I think there was so much energy and legs to the stable. This table, legs to this table. Things happen in my mind. I really don't get it. I really don't get it. And I can understand WWE seeing WrestleMania coming up and going, hey, there's a lot more value in AJ Styles with Omos taking on the New Day in a tag match for WrestleMania. And I'm like, I'm sure I can understand that. I can understand that you don't necessarily want to go back to Hurt Business and New Day just yet and totally expose the fact that there are no tag teams in WWE. But the stable was good. It was one of the shining stars of Raw last year. Even when they showed up on Raw Underground, you were like, man, this is good. I even posited an angle where the Hurt Business should have taken over the operation of Raw Underground, like making it their own side gig. You remember that? I still think it would have been great, leaning into the fact that these guys are mobsters. Would have been absolutely fantastic. But no, and it's not good. So I'm warm sodaing this because I'm sort of crossing my fingers, but I mean, all the signs are there for a breakup, and I don't understand why. It's too early. They were so good. It's so strange. Here's something I want to point out. Jeff Hardy. I want to talk about him real quick. He was on a match on Monday, right? He lost against Miz because, now suddenly Miz is getting the wins. Now he needs the heat, right? Because he's got his big WrestleMania match against Bad Bunny at WrestleMania, right? Which I personally don't have an issue with. I don't care. It's like good. It's the mainstream crossover star thing, and I much prefer that than having the SNL guys trying to be clowns during a battle royal. Like, this is fine. This is fine. But Jeff Hardy, though, do you remember when he was coming back last year? Do you recall that? Do you remember when he came in and he was like, and they were making a big deal out of him, saying legendary career, Jeff Hardy, and so on and so forth. And then you remember Sheamus starting to get pissed off. It's like, you guys are always putting over how legendary he is. And then you remember the angle that followed that, because I sure as fucking remember that stupid ass angle, with the substance abuse, the alcoholism. Remember that? I mean, if you guys were watching, when I was watching it every week. I was covering it for Fightful. I was doing the Friday night shows. And if you guys were watching me back then, you know exactly how I felt about that dumbass, stupid angle. And I remember people telling me, Warren, you're making too much of a big deal out of this. Jeff is going to come out at the other end here. They're going to give him a big push. This is what it tells me. This is what WWE has made of Jeff Hardy right now. Because Jeff Hardy is a bona fide legend in the world of professional wrestling. He really and truly is. And yes, he is a man whose struggles with substance abuse are unfortunately, very well publicly recorded. That's unfortunate. I'm glad he's better, but it's still unfortunate. The problem that I have here is that now that he's no longer now that they can't give him a storyline where he ain't an addict, they have nothing for him. You have legendary Jeff Hardy sitting around at catering. You're Bruce Pritchard. You come up to him and you say, Jeff, we have nothing. Creative's got nothing for you. It is so fucking callous and ridiculous and absurd that they have nothing for Jeff Hardy to do than to job out to The Miz, who is on his way to get his heat back so he can beat a rapper at WrestleMania. That's what you have for Jeff Hardy? After that shit ass angle that they did last year. That's it. If he ain't an addict, we got nothing for him. It's so trash. It is so trash. Trashy as shit. Hey, I want to say hello to Metal Michael. Good to see you. Welcome to the chat. Tim Traver left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Tim, and welcome to the show. He just hosed me down with wrestling. Love New Japan Pro Wrestling. I love New Japan Pro Wrestling too, except when New Japan does stupid ass decisions. But yes, thank you very much, Tim. I hope you're doing well, friend. Thank you for being here. Anakin left us a super chat as well. Thank you very much. Says, wasn't that angle the reason for the worst SmackDown ever post show? Yeah. It was. And it's so, again, my mind is still blown. Let's move over to NXT, where we're going to keep the hot trash. NXT was a pretty good show, by the way. But it's a lot of people were reaching out to me and be like, Warren, did you see Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole had a contract signing, and usually I'll for some reason my feed for watching on TSN last night it sort of fizzled out before I saw Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, so I couldn't really I wasn't able to see it, but I DVR'd it and I watched it earlier today. So we had a contract signing, and I mean, here's the thing. I'm excited at the prospect of an unsanctioned match between Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. That it's gonna rock, and regardless of the build, regardless of how things are gonna go, this is a very, very good match that we are going to experience in about 2 weeks' time. I'm really looking forward to it. Did I say TSN? I meant Sportsnet's 360. My TSN thing was fine. I apologize. NXT is on Sportsnet's 360. Sportsnet's 360 sort of crashed for me last night. But don't worry. Coming back to this though, so they had so that I'm looking forward to. The contract signing in about itself, nah man, because a lot of people are like, they cut such great promos and it's so good. Yeah, but it's still a fucking contract signing and everything happened. It was actually one of the most cookie cutter contract signings I've seen WWE pull off in a while. You know, the Sasha and Bailey one from a few months ago, last fall, where Bailey sort of takes the contract and splits. And she's like, nah, man, I ain't signing this, and she leaves. I'm like, okay, cool, at least this is something. No, Adam Cole said his thing, signed the contract. Kyle O'Reilly said his thing, signed the contract. Hell, we even had a table flip. I mean, if you were playing bingo, you got bingo on this one. Everyone had said their piece. It was the most classic, bog standard shit, and that's it. It was shit. It's just as simple as that. And yeah, there were good promos, but it's still a stupid fucking ass contract signing. And you've seen one of them, you've seen 1,000 of them. It's just because they being WWE or whoever does a contract signing, wants to give the match a big match feel. But the contract signing trope has been driven into the ground so much, and now it's just like, there's nothing to it. There's no gravitas. There's nothing interesting about it. It's just But I'm excited to see Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole kick the shit out of each other. You know what I would have liked? I would have liked a loser leaves town match. I think that would have been pretty strong. Sure, the goodbye for Adam Cole, heading back on to up to Raw or SmackDown, preferably SmackDown, and then letting Kyle all by himself down in NXT to just become the superstar that he deserves to be, because he's an NXT guy. Kyle O'Reilly's an NXT guy. He's perfect for NXT and to become a big deal. He really is. But I mean, unsanctioned will be fine too. That'd be great. All right, enough hot trash. Let's move on to some cool beans. We're going to talk about that Britt Baker promo from Dynamite last night. That Britt Baker promo. That one. How about this? Here's the thing about here's the thing about it. Hey Ben, how you doing? Ben Parizet, welcome to the chat. The new Lord of Synthwave has joined us. Haven't listened to your new track, man, yet. I'm going to do it tonight. Okay, so here's the thing. So you have Britt Baker, and she's sitting with Tony Khan, right? And Britt is like, hey, I had a really good match last week. That was fun. And Tony Khan goes, yeah, absolutely, Britt. Hey, do you think that, would you like to do like another super legendary thing again this week? Like what? You could cut like a legendary promo, like something that'll just like drive everything home that you are so good. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm still working on my Tony Khan impersonation, I'm not gonna lie. Britt Baker's promo was absolutely extraordinary. And that's it. It's like she knocks it out of the park 2 weeks in a row. The match last week, and then she comes into the ring this week with Tony Schiavone, and she says, that's it. She turns to the audience. She's like, that's the warm welcome that you're giving me? You basically saying, you ungrateful people. You know, and she's like, oh, Britt, Thunder Rosa, she's saying that, she put the women's division on the map, and why is everyone talking about me? Why is it? They're not talking about you, Thunder Rosa, they're talking about me. Then she does the Mick Foley line, which I'm sure Mick was like, he was slapping his thighs and was like, yeah, this is great. Fantastic. So it says, took you 20 years to become a hardcore legend. I did it in one night. What a great line. And she calls out Tony Khan for signing legends, and she says she put AEW on the map with the three epic letters, the three most epic letters in pro wrestling, DMD. And I'm like, this woman right now, she is up there. She is up there with Mox. She is up there with Kenny. She is S tier in AEW because of what the work she delivers, because of the promos she's cutting, and she doubles down on herself every week. It's still mind-boggling. Like, I want chat, think about it for a second. When is the last time that a wrestler's turn, either from heel to babyface, or let's keep it to babyface to heel, has been so exceptionally top-notch for them? Okay, maybe Bayley. Okay, Bayley. Bayley essentially saved, I think, her career with the heel turn, and she's become absolutely remarkable. But Britt too. And if you have other examples, and not just women, guys too. This is the stuff of legend. We're looking at something that we are going to be talking about 10 years from now still. We're going to be looking back at these events and be like, that match. These are seminal moments for AEW, and it is fucking Britt Baker who was driving this through. Now, and Roman Reigns. Okay, yes. Of course I'm going to forget the most obvious one. Sure. Christ, Warren, do you even watch wrestling? Here. The thing here, and this is a plea that I put out to Tony Khan, who I kind of like to think he maybe watches once in a while. I kind of like to think that. I don't know why. But this is a plea I put out to Tony. Don't let this woman cool down. Don't send her away for a bit or have... This is the moment to drive her into greatness. This is the moment that put the title on her. Give her a year-plus run with it. You have a face of your division. It is her. It is not a baby face. She's not a smiling, happy baby face. She's an obnoxious, but so entertaining heel. Make it official. Tony, I beg of you. A couple of super chats here. Thank you very much, everyone. Starting with Anakin JMT with, again, more super chats. I appreciate it, Anakin. Especially, thank you so much. I appreciate it. He says that Devlin Escobar segment with Shawn Michaels, chef's kiss, sliding the ladder, never saying a word. That's how you use legends, Oldberg, making it about others. Exactly. No, that's a very, very good point from NXT. That's a super good point. And again, not just Oldberg, but also our Jeff Hardy. It kind of goes into the theme of what we were talking about tonight. How do you use your legends? Shawn Michaels didn't come across as a chump. It was just the drama of the situation, right? It's good stuff. Yeah, very good point. Thank you for that, Anakin. Evan Wright left us a super chat. Thank you very much. Says between this promo and the Jade vignette. Wow. You guys know I'm not sold on Jade Cargill just yet. I'm not. She's extremely charismatic. She has the look. She has the attitude. She has the presence. I think she has great ring awareness. She knows how to work in a wrestling ring, I'm gonna need a little more meat on the bone before I'm all in. That's just me. But I'm not denying that the lady has the intangibles, right? Anakin left us another super chat. Thank you very much. Bailey and Roman, as far as, yeah. Of course, I'd forget Roman Reigns when I'm talking about, what? Big time baby face. So the more you guys are coming up with examples, the more I'm thinking, because we talked about Sami Zayn as well in the chat. Maybe there's more of a trend recently of baby faces that we thought were going to be great baby faces, but aren't exactly turning out that way, and that the heel turn is just reinventing things. It could be, we could be in a trend. Might be the opposite of what I was thinking about, Get on the Jade bandwagon now, or get left behind, Warren. Hey, I think there's always room for a bandwagon. Look, to a certain degree, I compare my, it's not even, I want to choose my words carefully here. My, because it's not apprehension. I don't apprehend Jade Cargill. I sort of compare my feelings toward Jade Cargill, again, as a performer, not as to Great O'Khan in New Japan. Like, some people are, they're freaking the fuck out over Great O'Khan, and he's amazing. Look at this, and I'm like, right, yeah, yes, but the more he's wrestling, and at first I was like, I don't get it. I'll give him a shot. I'm definitely not gonna shoot him down. Same thing with Jade. I'm absolutely not going around saying she sucks, she's terrible. I want to see more of her, just like I'm seeing more of Great O'Khan, and I'm understanding Great O'Khan. I'm like, oh, I see, and I see what he's bringing to the table, and I've seen the matches that he's doing, that he's been doing. His match with Naito, fantastic shit, fantastic shit. And he's been wrestling top tier talent, the S level talent in New Japan. He's been fighting them. So, and he's been growing, and I'm like, okay, I'm a lot more behind the Great O'Khan thing as I thought, as first. I mean, Jade right now, she's got 2 matches under her belt, a tag team match where she was fine, a squash match where she pulled 3 moves. Cool. They're establishing her, but again, I want, let me see what she can do. Let her uncork. Pull the rope. What is it? Like, I feel like we're warming up the motor. But I'll be the first to jump right in and be like, yeah, she's fantastic. She's improved. She's so good. I'm ready for it. Right now, I haven't seen enough. I just haven't seen enough. It's the same thing with the Parker Boudreaux over in NXT. People are already going, yeah, this guy, look at him, he's amazing. And I'm like, but I don't know. I'm not going to buy into unnecessary hype. Show me what they can do. Just like Great O'Khan's been doing. They've been having him do matches, full 15-minute matches, 20-minute matches. I'm like, hey, this guy's great. This guy's got it. There's stuff here that no one else, that he does, that no one else in New Japan does. Now, went off the rails here. But that's the point. Is like, a lot of people get excited for a lot of things, presentation, what they look like, so on and so forth. I'm like, cool, but can they do the thing that I tune in to watch them do? Can they do that thing? I.e. wrestle. Jade Cargill, she's got some fundamentals. She's fine. And I want to get behind her. It's not that I don't want to. I'm careful. She was very, 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 very highly hyped. Parker Boudreaux is the same thing. The kids WWE has him doing interviews already. He's never wrestled a fucking match in his life. We don't know what he can do, but yeah, he's a physical specimen. But sure, we've seen. You know who used to be. You know who used to be a physical specimen? El Gigante, and that wasn't much, pals and palettes. I'll tell you that much. Not comparing him to El Gigante, by the way. Quick bit of hot trash here from the AEW world of things. Matt Hardy hasn't missed a beat from losing his Q1 earnings, and it bugs me. And it bugs me because I really feel like AEW had has a better record, at AEW has a better record at pulling off storylines and sort of connecting things and making things matter. And when Hangman and Matt signed the big money thing, it was like, okay, money. And ultimately the payoff to this happens after the match on subsequent episodes of Dynamite. So yeah, Hangman bought his lawnmower, right? And stuff for the for the Dark Order, and all that was fun stuff. But Matt Hardy didn't seem to suffer at all. He's back chatting with Private Party. And he's like, look, I hired 2 new goons, Butcher and the Blade. And now he's out this week and he's got the Matt Hardy Family Organization or something like that. The Hardy Family Organization, whatever. And now he's got the Bunny in matches with Sheeta. And he's going after Darby Allin. I'm like, and it's weird because I really feel like Matt Hardy creatively would have been very, very interesting, would have had a good time. And I'm not saying drag this out for months or even weeks, but have a couple of moments where he has to pull himself up by his bootstraps kind of thing. It's like, look, I lost a lot of money, but I ain't done yet kind of thing, And I'm disappointed. It's not as much, it's not like hot trash, like I fucking hate this, but I'm disappointed because I really feel like there's some opportunities here that were wasted by AEW in regards to this, because I really feel like it really feels like the Revolution match didn't matter, and yeah, just compounds my theory that it was a little under Adam Page to a certain degree. I want to say hello to the Nicholas Nutter, good to see you, sir, and AK Germany 96, and DGNC left us a super chat. Thank you very much. He says, "I'm watching Warren." Signed TK. We have this thing where in the Discord where DGNC is actually Tony Khan. So, yeah. So just a quick observation, quick thought. But let's go back to some more cool beans, because the Wednesday night match of the year candidate machine continues to roll on AEW Dynamite as Darby Allin successfully defended the TNT Championship against John Silver. How great was this match? How great was this match, friends? I thought the pacing was fantastic. Darby bumped like a legend for the Meat Man. And just early on, that shoulder tackle that he hit. Remember that? Darby just flew out of the ring. That's amazing. John Silver took a hell of a bump, right? Tipping over the barricade, landing straight on his head. Got a big fucking lump on the back of his head. He was taking pictures of that. Anakin actually left us a super chat in regards to that earlier in the evening. Thank you very much. This hot trash to John Silver getting injured, right? That head bump was huge. I hope he didn't get a concussion. Fingers crossed. I hope he's okay too, because that was an ugly bump. Looks like he's got a conjoined twin trying to push its way out of his skull. No, but this was so good. The coffin drop from Darby on the Dark Order on the outside. Sting comes out. He's like, he's like a dad going to his kid's Little League game and getting a little too involved. And look, this match ruled. It was such an A1 effort from both of these guys. And I swear, dudes and dudettes and everyone in between, John Silver, it should be capitalized on massively. The guy, John Silver, if they were live full audiences right now, he would be getting the biggest pops of the night. He legitimately would. The guy is over. He's nuts. It's fantastic. The only thing that irked me, the only thing that sort of bugged me was the ending. A Code Red kind of out of nowhere. Come on, fuck off, guys. Destroyers and Code Reds don't end matches. And I don't think it was that much of an attrition match for John Silver to not be able to kick out of a Code Red at that point. I really don't. I don't think it was. Some nice Brody Lee tributes throughout the match. Look, it ruled. It's just something that irked me where I'm like, ugh. And not necessarily to their fault, but the idea is that Code Reds, Destroyers, Sunset Flip Bombs, and all that shit, they don't end matches anymore. They're transitional moves. So I see a Code Red and I'm like, okay. And so, wait, what? This fucking finished right now? Yeah. So, it's like... And yes, he did use the Queen Slayer as well. Little nod to Anna Jay. Anna! Anna's gonna be so mad when she comes back and Ty Conchi is ruling the roost. Nice touch having the Dark Order come out with Ty too. That was really cool. Oh, look at this. The Queen of NE is with us tonight. Queenie, it's been a while. How are you? Hope you're doing well. DGMC left us a super chat. Thank you very much. He says, biggest takeaway from Darby versus Meat Man. We'll probably get that Sting Dark Order bit on BTE next week, finally. Maybe. Does Sting want to do the ha-has? He should do the ha-has. Do you think this might lead to Sting versus Hangman Page? Because it's a little more of a Hangman type of match. Hangman Page rather than fighting over money with Matt Hardy. If you ask me, of course. Yes, I'm doing well, Queen. Thank you. And in that, to that thought process, that mentality, that what, I wanted to guide into my final cool beans of the evening here. The fact that last night on Dynamite, everything was sort of, the pieces were all shuffled. The deck, whatever you want to do, the deck was shuffled. Pieces were all were mixed around. You had Darby and John Silver in the main event. Two guys immediately considered like, oh, these are mid-card guys. But look at them, main event, pulling out a main event performance. You're giving Sean Spears, a big pin win, a guy who needs it. And coming out the first outing of the Pinnacle, and he gets the pin for the dudes. Ty Conchi, as our boy Evan Wright left in the super chat, thank you very much, says, I request we praise Ty versus Nyla Rose immediately. Let's do it. Let's praise them because it was good. But I want to praise on top of that the fact that they pulled the surprise and had Ty Conchi go over instead of Nyla, who everyone was sort of like, was going like this, like, well, Nyla. And mixing it up, right? Giving us something else here. Laredo Kid coming out of nowhere and getting a pin on national TV. It's hard to not get excited about that stuff because it's not as if we didn't have Kenny Omega. It's not as if we didn't have the Jacksons or Mox. Chris Jericho wasn't there, but they're running an angle. MJF was there. Cody even showed up to chew out QT Marshall, whatever. It's not as if the big stars weren't there, but they're mixing shit up. And that is one thing that I can appreciate and I will support. It is very easy to get behind that kind of stuff, where instead of having the same formula of matches between the same minimal group of guys week after week, you're switching it up. And you're switching it up to the point where you're sending one of your main event talents, your recent former world champion. You're going to go have him wrestle on your YouTube channel for your YouTube show. It's hard not to appreciate that. And they're trying shit out. Is everything going to work? Of course not. Is everything going to stick? Of course not. But whatever works, whatever does stick, it will be out of these attempts, these tries at something a little more spectacular or something a little more different, right? And that's good. And you don't want things to stay stale, and you don't want things to be predictable. We're wrestling fans. We like to be surprised. We like to be shocked. We pretend we don't. We don't like to be worked, like the whole Kazuchika Okada has a slip disc thing. That pissed off a lot of us when we found out that he was working us. We don't like to get worked because we think we're all so fucking smart, but we do like to be surprised. I am not going to sit around and shit on AEW for trying different things, for mixing up the main event, the opening match, putting people on different levels on a wrestling program. I think it's good. I think it's really good. Try out some new stuff. Why not? It's not because one company has been doing their thing for 2 decades that this is the exact same formula you have to follow. No. You don't. A couple of super chats here again from Evan Wright. Thank you very much, Evan. I appreciate all the super chats tonight. He says, first of all, Brandon Cutler was fantastic in that 6-man tag, BT Dubs. The Dragon, yeah. And boy, you know what I liked about the post angle of that too is like, you can't help but be like, when they were pointing out, the Jacksons, we used to be elite, now you're hanging out with that guy. And nothing against Brandon Cutler. But when you take a minute to think about it and you're like, the Jacksons used to and Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes and Hangman, they were all one big ass stable. And you sort of look at that and then you look at Brandon Cutler and you're like, yeah, it's kind of like margarine instead of butter, right? But he was good in the match. I just I like that part of the angle. Christian Cage, and the other super chat from Evan Wright's like Christian Cage versus Frank Kazarian next week. The hose, Hayes. I know. It's going to be TNA week. It's going to be the Impact, TNA Impact, old homie week. It's good stuff. I'm excited. And honestly, Frankie Kazarian keeps, the more the weeks go on, the more he's looking like Randy Orton. I just can't get over it. I really can't. That was the weekly wrestling inspection, guys. Before we wrap things up, one quick thing, and then I'll talk about the WWE Women's 50 greatest, right? But the Peacock censorship that everyone is going bingo bongo over. I don't know if you heard. well, you've heard that the WWE network has migrated to Peacock, right? And now people are starting to point out, oh, well, look, there's stuff that's already missing from the network. Most egregiously or famously right now, the one that has everyone's attention is, the WrestleMania 6 Roddy Piper semi-blackface thing that he did when he was fighting Bad News Brown. That was taken out. Not only was like the promo that he cut where he was doing the weird half face thing and turning like this. Not just that promo, but the whole match has been taken off of the WrestleMania 6 card on Peacock. And then you have another instance of Vince using the N-word. And look, I just want to say this. This is I want to add my thoughts on this because a lot of people have. And you're going to, and if you've been watching my show for a while, you're going to be like, oh, by the way, Heavy J, good to see you. Welcome to the chat. You're going to be like, okay, broken record, Warren, but yes, here we go. The history of wrestling should never be put into the hands of a corporation. WWE picked up all the tapes, bought out the tapes from all, from the territories, ECW, WCW, so on and so forth. And I've talked about it more than enough. It's, the history of wrestling is through these tapes, and it should not be left in the hands of a single corporate entity. And Peacock, more so than WWE, who was whose roots are in wrestling. So if anything, it could be like, well, this is part of our heritage, blah, blah, blah. It's good PR, blah, blah. Peacock has no interest in preserving an archive for wrestling history. Come on, let's be honest with each other here. They want people to just tune in and watch the shows, and then they have, fucking Mid-South and Smoky Mountain Wrestling, taking up server space, and you've got like 6 people per week who are tuning in to watch the shows. Like, there's no value for them to do that. That's not why they bought WWE. They purchased WWE to get some weekly live maybe not weekly, but some live content. That's why they bought them in. This is why, the NFL and the NHL are scoring these huge deals with networks. It's because the live content is what people are after. This is what's going to differentiate. Live sports is the reason why you tune in. No one watches, or at least very little, because I don't want to do a sweeping statement, but very little people will watch a sports match after it's been done. You're not going to tune in on a Tuesday night to watch Monday Night Football. So the license, sure, Peacock has access to everything, but they don't care. That's not what they're there for. And I'm not excited at the idea of whitewashing history either. And I know, because I've seen it. I've watched it. I've been through it. There is so much stuff that would not fly today. There are so many things in the ECW archive, the WCW archive, the WWE archive that just just could never happen today proper. And it's humiliating sometimes for wrestling fans when you think about it. When you think about the Katie Vick shit and you think, but that's what history is, warts and all. If I want to go back and see the ugly, I want to see the ugly. Because it wasn't all roses. And it's a shame that we're letting our contemporary sensibilities tamper with that, as opposed to letting our modern sensibilities look back on it, be like, wow, that's something that didn't age well, or that's offensive. I don't, there's reasons why you could do that. But going back and altering history, I'm not cool with that. I'm absolutely not cool with that. And it really makes me regret not having any more wrestling tapes. Anyway, just a thought like that. Before we wrap up, WWE has been putting out the 50 greatest women superstars specials on the WWE network, streaming on Peacock. The modern era from 1993 onwards. The list is heavily based on in-ring accomplishments, championship victories, and creating legendary moments. Okay, you ready for this? Let's do this. I'm going to run it down. I'm going to take a minute here. I know I'm running a little late. Go figure. But I do want to run down a bit of the list. Tomorrow they're going to announce the top 5. We've got from 50 to 6 right now. And they're going to announce the top 5 tomorrow. So here's the list as it stands right now. Number 50 is Toni Storm. It's a little rough. Caitlyn at number 49. Kaylee Ray, longest running NXT UK Women's Champion at 48. Sonya Deville at 47. 46, Shotzi Blackheart. 45, Kelly. 44, Candice LeRae. 43, Nikki Cross. 42, Layla. 41, Ember Moon. At number 40 is Eve Torres. Eve Torres. Lacey fucking Evans is at number 39. Over Kaylee Ray, Sonya Deville, Shotzi Blackheart, Nikki Cross, Ember Moon, former NXT Women's Champion, Ember Moon, current NXT Tag Team Champion, along with Shotzi Blackheart. What the fuck has Lacey Evans done? Except have that shit angle. 38, Jazz, and that's way too low. Way too low. And exceptionally low. Maryse at 37, bloody fucking hell. And no disrespect, I think Maryse is great. But the women who are that are lower than her on this, it's ridiculous. Nia Jax at 36. Nia Jax is at 36. Above Ember Moon. Jazz, legend of the business. Jazz. Bianca Belair is at 35. Carmella is at 34. Gail Kim is at 33. Gail Kim, very low on the list, but the fact that WWE mentioned her at all is an accomplishment in and about itself. Jacqueline is at number 32. I think that's also too low. 31, Kairi Sane. Naomi is at 30. Bull Nakano at 29. Ivory at 28. Melina at 27. Okay, sure. Nikki and Brie Bella at 26. Now, I think this is a problem for me. I'm not the biggest Bellas fan. I really am not. But I think it's really shitty that they put them as a tag team. That they put them both together. Nikki's been Divas champion multiple times. And on top of that, Nikki had a much more prolific singles career than Brie. And Nikki is a better wrestler than Brie. It's so weird. It's weird to me. Why would you... And then I'm sure, did you guys see the picture that they tweeted out? The WWE Network on their official account. I'm sure you've seen the picture where the Bella twins are at number 26, and then they take a picture of the Bella twins, except that it's, instead of having Nikki and Brie, it's two pictures of Brie. Not the cheese, Brie Bella. That'd be really funny. If it was like Brie, like Nikki and a slice of Brie, that would also have been really funny. Io Shirai's at 25, Luna Vachon at 24. I'm surprised that they put Luna so high. Pleasantly surprised. Stephanie McMahon at 23. There's someone that didn't belong on the list. You didn't need to put Stephanie. There's where you should have put Nikki Bella. Put Brie at 26. Put Nikki at 23. Why? Stephanie. Michelle McCool at number 22. Rhea Ripley at 21. Yeah, no, hey. All she did was be an NXT Women's Champion and defend the title at WrestleMania. Yeah, but yeah, 21. Sure, that's fair. Natalya at 20. And I think this is one of the biggest sticking points of the entire list, right? Natalya has wrestled like 1,300 matches in her WWE career. And I think she really is severely undervalued by WWE, by wrestling fans. I don't think that 20 is too low for her contributions and what she brought especially to the Divas division. It's a little low. It's a little low for my own personal tastes. AJ Lee's at number 19. Little shocked they put her that high. Just again, out of pure, relationship issues, but cool. I think that's cool. Shayna Baszler at number 18. Paige at number 17. Probably would have put her a little higher as well. Sable at number 16. And I know she's a former women's champion, and I know she was. I know she showed her boobs on TV. I know. It's still too high because Shayna Baszler ranks lower than Sable. Paige ranks low. And in fact, when you take a minute to think about it, Paige is actually the anti-Sable, right? She was the anti-diva. She's the anti-Sable, It's weird. Molly Holly at 15. Love Molly Holly. Molly Holly was one of my, was a wrestling crush of mine when I was watching WCW when she was Miss Madness and was Molly Holly in WWF at the time. Loved her. I think it's a little high. Victoria's at number 14. Alexa Bliss at number 13. Don't hurt me, anyone. I think Alexa Bliss is too high on the list. I think she is way too high. Mickie James at number 12. Beth Phoenix at 11. Beth Phoenix is a top 10 candidate for me. Because, again, in the Divas era, she was a very legitimate wrestler with a very, very different tool set than the other Divas was. She was a power wrestler. I think she's a top 10 contributor. But anyway. Number 10 is Bayley, and that is insulting. That is wrong. Like there ain't a lot of things on this list where I'd outright call wrong. Stephanie McMahon on the list, wrong. Bayley at number 10, wrong. You know what else is wrong? Ronda Rousey at number 9. But I know why they're putting her at number 9. Don't get me wrong. They want to stay in her good graces. They want to butter her up. They want to make sure that they know that, hey, if Ronda's right, hey Ronda, we still think about you and we still like you. Here, you broke the top 10. Lita at number 8. I like Lita. Don't get me wrong. And if it's a question of creating moments and legendary moments and titles and so on, sure, I can get behind that. Oh, yeah. Alundra Blaze, Medusa at 7. Alundra Blaze is a top 5 person. She's a top 5 woman. She fucking carried that division in the 90s. That's ridiculous. You know what else is ridiculous? Sasha Banks at number 6. Oh, the stands were not happy. The stands were not happy. And I even think it's kind of weird. Number 6 with Sasha. So we got 5 more women left to announce tomorrow. There's a couple of obvious ones in there. I just hope that I hope that Chyna is in there. That's all I hope. Because we know Becky's there. We know Charlotte is there. We know Trish is there. Trish Stratus. I just hope they put Chyna. There's going to be a riot if she isn't. But she'll probably be. And it's fair. But man, it's a weird list. Anakin JMT left us a super chat. He said a couple of super chats. Thank you very much, Anakin. Let's go with this one first. He says, that's why you never see Holiday Inn on TV because of the blackface scene. It's regrettable. Holiday Inn. A movie. Let me see. Holiday Inn movie. Doesn't ring a bell. Probably. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. I know. Yeah. Now I know what movie you're talking about. But yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, the history and optics are weird. History and optics are weird. Anakin JMT left another super chat. Thank you so much tonight, Anakin. Again, I appreciate it. He says, keep in mind this is WWE's list. This is not something to be taken seriously or being definitive at all. It just gives us something to talk about. Exactly. See what I'm doing right here? And it's a good talk. DGMC left us a super chat. Thank you very much. He says, don't be surprised when you see Linda McMahon at number 1.
Oh, yeah.
No. You know, if Linda McMahon ever gets into the WWE Hall of Fame, I hope that they have her come in in a wheelchair and she's paralyzed and not moving for the entire thing. I think that'd be great. Thank you, TK. Evan Wright left us a super chat. Thank you very much. He says Gail Kim should be number 1 anyway, so poo-poo this list. Like I said, you know, just the fact that WWE, just the fact that WWE mentioned Gail Kim on this list is a win for Gail Kim. So there we go. And no, Stephanie won't be number 1. She's number 23 or something. Number 21. Don't worry about it. AJ Lee won't be number 1 either. She's number... Again, another good win for her to have been even put on the list. Number 19. AJ Lee. But hey, if you want to come and tell me your thoughts about this list, got you all warmed up, you're excited about it, come on over to the Mr. Warren Hayes Patreon at patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes. Come and see me over there. And that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the list. What do you guys like about the list? What do you not like? How would you shuffle the top how would you shuffle the top 5 that's coming up tomorrow? Hey, by the way, Dan Reed of Pro Wrestling Eve. How you doing, Dan? Well, thank you for popping in tonight. And thank you everyone for joining me this evening. Remember, leave a like if you enjoyed everything that happened here tonight. Be sure to drop a comment in a few minutes so that we can get that comment streak up to 10, which will complete the streak. And then the reward will be coming. I want to say hi to Reese on Wrestling as I pull up the outro right here. Thank you everyone for joining me. I'll see you next time.